What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. This is your man bringing you another gold nugget that you can either pick up or you can just kick it aside. I just figure I'd throw that all out there for you all. I have something very interesting because it's a topic I think is very well needed to be discussed. The fear of a white man by way of a black man. You know, I want to share this video because, you know, we live in a day that white people has passed on for generation and generations to their children this fear of us. And I don't know if many of you all understand what fear actually does. You know, actually, scripture says, that God has never given us a spirit of fear, but of sound mind. A sound mind. When you don't have fear, when you have fear, you don't have a sound mind. That means, it's like you when you were a little kid and your parents turn the lights off in your bedroom, say good night, and you had this fear of a boogeyman, and you couldn't sleep, and you tossed and turned. You got up out of your bed, you look under your bed, you look in the closet, and you just were toiled with the fear that something's going to get you. This curse that the European, the Caucasian man, white, whatever you want to call, have passed this on to their children, to generations. And it's a curse, like I said. Can you imagine? And this is going to help you all to realize that even in your relationships, your friendships, your co-workers who might be white, I'm going to give a disclaimer here in a minute, but who might be white, there is an apprehensiveness. There is an internal, an alert system. There is a little standoffish, a little unsureness, that fear of how they're never going to say it, but internally, how do you perceive them? If that mindset, what this white man is going to share when I show you the video, if this is the case from what he says and how he was brought up, and behind the scenes, what we don't know, what they all talk about, ridicule and badmouth black people, and have this code of sharing with one another, it's that don't ever trust them, because what we did to them, they're going to turn around and do to us. So they always sleep with one eye open when they're amongst us. Me and my wife were talking. I just left America, and when we would go into some of these establishments, white people are very comfortable when they're the majority. But to see the look on their face when they walk in a restaurant when it's a majority of us, and they do the slow head turn, the glance. We were at a restaurant in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was a little displeasing too, because me and my wife took notes, like, where women hang out with women, but where does the women hang out with their man? But anyway, that's another story for another day. But what we found was this black woman came in with a white woman and another black guy. And when a white woman came into the place, I already know the stare. She kind of glanced her head around, put her hands behind her back, and folded them, and was like, really, I can tell she was very uncomfortable. I have been in establishments where it would be probably predominantly white, and once black folk find out there's some good food, we go to it, and when we start to show numbers, white people flee. They flee because feeling very uncomfortable of not knowing how we perceive them, and is there going to be a retaliation for what their ancestors done? Can you imagine that going on in the job when you show any type of hostility towards one of them, when they say something and you speak your mind? And it don't mean you have to be irate. Can you imagine What happens if that supervisor has to call you in to give you a evaluation and turn around and then wonder how you feel about them? And then they rather just cut the ties because they're too cowardly or too afraid, standing in fear to face what might they believe coming at them. Now, there's a disclaimer. I'm not one who's racist. I'm the one who don't even hate white people. I understand white people. I've grew up around them. I've worked with them, and they also have worked for me. I have watched their behaviors, and I have drawn my own conclusions. I've had those who, because the thanks of the Most High, there were those who showed that respect, and there were those who showed the disrespect. And I must say that I have drawn my own conclusion about them as a whole. But I will say this for you all who sits there and says, but my daddy's white, my mama's white, my grandmama, my granddad. If it don't apply, don't cry. Because when I'm talking about white people, we're talking about nations, countries who are led by them, whose parliaments, whose governments, senators and governors are led by them, by the majority of numbers. Which means then that the actual actions of a country, those who are in the power has to take the responsibility. You know, I'll get further into that right there, but let's get into the video. And it's a 5-minute video. He speaks on some things that I'm allow you all to call in and share your experience and your opinion on the video. So let's get into it. All right. Shout out to Star Trends. Check her out. Her feed came across my channel, and she actually launched this a few days ago, and I thought it was quite interesting. But let me turn on my phone and make sure that we can hear this. Okay, so let's check it out.
So I grew up in apartheid South Africa as a English-speaking white boy. I only became politically conscious when I was already 18 years of age, because prior to that, I had been subjected to and sucked in this incredible propaganda of victimization of the white people, where every piece of news, every message we were getting, every joke, the butt of every joke was the stupidity of the black man, the inability of the black man to look after himself, never mind the country, to be ignorant, uneducated, break everything he touched. The messaging was that all violence was black violence, that all crime was black crime, that you had to fear black people. And a huge amount of that fear was that if we let them into the political process, into the governance of the country, that they would do to us exactly what we had done to them for decades, which would be to turn around and oppress us, to murder us, to take our stuff, to move into our houses. It was a very popular story that the ANC, prior to the 94 election, when it was still an illegal organization and Nelson Mandela was still in jail, and the armed wing was exiled to Zambia and Mozambique, Umkhonto Wesizwe, was that they promised all of our domestic servants that those servants would be given the house they worked in when the ANC ruled. And these stories were told amongst the whites to bolster our resolve never to let these black people run our country. And it was only when I became conscious of that from 18 onwards that I realized not only was this a terrible lie that was actually oppressing us, as well as the people that we as a white nation, white minority, were oppressing, but that actually what happened subsequently from 1994 onwards was far more of a reflection of the nature of black South Africans than any fears we as white South Africans had been fed and believed, right? And I see direct parallels with what's happening in Palestine and Israel. We've been fed this bullshit of Israel as victim, of the Zionist government as defending, this idea that the entire Arab world wanted to wipe them off the map, when in fact, prior to the Nakba, prior to Palestine being given to Israel by the colonial powers, primarily Britain, many Jews lived very happily and harmoniously alongside Muslims and Christians within that region. They weren't oppressed there. They became the oppressor through the Zionist ambition of a few Israelis. This is not a condemnation of the Jews at all, and it is not a support of Hamas, but it is an understanding of why Hamas arose, and in fact, why Israel created Hamas, why Netanyahu needs Hamas.
So he goes into a little bit more of the Palestinian. I don't want to get caught up in that Palestinian and Israel thing and let them battle that out. But what he said was very profound in this whole white community, which not just over there in South Africa, it's America too. It's in Europe too. It's in Australia too. It's wherever they are, they feel fear. They are so afraid of us lashing back out at them that it causes them to behave in frantic, if I can't say that word, frantic ways that also can cause them to do unjust harm towards you and others like myself. All because of the fear. We see it in the judicial system where the black man is penalized twice as much if committed the same crime as a white guy. We see that when the so-called crack cocaine went through and destroyed many of the black communities, they created task force to lock up and jail and imprison so many black people. But when we see that they are going through this fentanyl, these so-called opioids, abusing pills, they call it an epidemic. When you see that they have, they will have a blind eye to the so-called destruction by their own hands of black communities, by gentrifying it, and will all the while turn around and say that, oh, they need to find housing on their own, or, they're just lazy. You heard him say that behind closed doors, how they joke about black people, how they demean black people, how they tell them there's no way we're going to give them the power at all, that they're going to continue to stay on top of you. This is what he said, and I'm going to play it in another 15 minutes for those who come in or whatever, but I want to open up the lines because we have to educate the young white people in how their ancestors, even their mom, dads, their grandparents, these people who still live today, who were part of apartheid, these people who still live today, who hung nooses around our brothers and sisters, who set them ablaze on the fire, these people still live today. These people are still living today. These people are the ones who wear the robes for judges. These people are still your senators and congressmen. These people still are the ones who are sitting in the education system, who are sitting behind getting approval for housing loans and business loans. These people still exist, only to remove a white robe and put on a suit and tie, only to put on a smiley face that you will never, ever know why you didn't get the job, why your child did not get into the college education, why you didn't get the house loans or business loans. You will never know why. Here in the motherland, I ain't got to worry about that. You will never know who is preparing your food and what they do when you get upset and return it back to the kitchen. You will never know What is being planned, plotted, or schemed against you, your children, as you move into their neighborhoods? I got a beautiful friend. Me and my wife have friends, and you know, they live in a predominantly white, but majority. It's probably the only black family. Lived out there and out there to the golf course, got a mansion and all, and his poor son wind up getting HIV. And my heart goes out to them because they're dealing with that. But little that he knows, and I've surmised by listening to the spirit, it wasn't by chance, coincidence, or accident that his son contracted that. Oh, by being around them, oh, they plotted that. They planned that. You see, I've seen the devilment of some of them when they see other people come in, that they will go ahead and try to introduce them to the LGBTQ, try to introduce them to the, the old mushrooms and the drugs and all this, right? They will try to dismantle them, cripple them. When you move your children or send them over to these private schools. Oh, I've heard the stories. And you think that you have arrived. You think that you've been accepted because you go to the football game, the basketball game, and some say hello. Now, for y'all white people who are watching, like I said, if it don't apply, don't cry. But I'm talking about my experience. So let me open up the lines and share with me. Let's hear so that we can educate those who don't realize the detriments they have done to us. Some of y'all have lost the jobs. Some of y'all have lost your ability or your opportunities. And it was all because of the color of your skin. Who's got a story to share? Who's got that story to share running up against a Karen or business who out and blatantly just discriminates against you? People got to hear these stories, because when you don't, people will sit around like our own people and say, America's not racist. So let me go ahead and put this in the link. Let me put this in the link. Love to hear from you all. What do you have? At this time, I will not. You would have to show your face behind the scenes, but then you can cover yourself back up. Okay? You can cover yourself back up, because I got to make sure that, of course, sometimes people are going to talk about maybe what's going on her job, and we don't want to make sure this don't fall into the hands of some of y'all, personally, those who might happen to lose their job. But I think it's important to share these stories. And I got to make sure that this is no bots out here who's going to be putting up pornographies and throwing it up on my screen. So we definitely don't want to see that hellacious evilness that many of your nations have created. Okay, hey, let me see your face real quick, and then you can go ahead and cover up, and then I'll bring you in. All right, we got us there again. Hey, you can come in. You got to show your face first before I bring you in. Family, the link is in the chat. The link is in the chat for those who want to call, share their experience. I don't care if you're white, as long as you're going to, share what's right. And that is hip us to what's going on behind the scenes, that your mama, your daddy, your grandparents, that you hate the racism that's going on, that they have even probably brought you up, whether you're Latino, whether you Hispanic, whether you share about the horrific, evil deeds that are being done, just to show, hey, this world right here, we know it ain't perfect. We know it's evil. Okay, I can't see you. Hey, I think you keep going in and out or whatever it is, but you need to show me. You need to show me your face, and then you can cover back up, and I can bring you on the line. Anybody else want to come on? Please come in and share your story. You might want to call back in, hey, because I can't see your face. I see a silhouette, whatever, but I haven't taken notice that it is actually a live human being behind the scenes. Please, by all means, my last white person, that had the first white person on, and you try to use my platform as a means to try to promote, try to advertise, which is just devilment in itself, which just goes to show that there are those who don't get it, and they only prove why they are what they are, and why many people are very uh, apprehensive about their own kind. Okay, hey, I see you came back in. I see nothing but a black screen, but you got to show your face, and then you can go ahead and cover back up. You're either going to put stop cam, hit the stop cam, and it should show you, and then hit when you hit back on it or block or whatever, it should tell you when you're coming in. So the link is in the chat, family. Link is in the chat. While you were waiting right here, I know we had probably about 100 some people come in. Oh, we got somebody else that's coming in. All right, I see you, Gloria. I'll bring you in if you want to cover. You can cover if you want. If not, we'll go forward. All right, I'm bringing you in.
Okay. Hi, my name is Gloria Senika. I actually
First
work for
Gloria, where are you calling from? Where are you from, actually? Not where you calling from, but where you?
California. I'm
you
from
live
California.
in California. Okay.
I live in California.
Okay. All right.
Okay. I worked for Head Start for 30 years. I worked at several Head Start programs because I was actually troubleshooting. And I was at Head Starts that were about to lose their funding. And every 3 years we had administrative reviews, and they would always try to get me to, like wait until 3 months before the review before we actually did work. And I wouldn't allow that. And I told them they had to stay in compliance the whole time. So at this particular time, we actually passed our review because of the strictness, I guess, of the program. And then I was told that even though we passed the review and they were about to lose their funding, I was told that my frizzy hair was unprofessional, all these different things. And I'm just like, okay, you want to say that in my microphone? And those were the kind of challenges I had working with the Head Start program. Even though you did everything that you could do to assist the program in reaching their goals and not losing their funding, they always had to find something that was wrong with you, to try to make you be in line with them. And I always refused.
Did you say Head Start?
Yes, Head Start.
Okay, that's the education system, right?
Yes.
Okay. So they was trying to pick you apart while they failing themselves and want to all of a sudden bring up your hair.
Right. They always talked about my hair. But, I'm a child of the 60s. I always wore natural hair. I said, when I became conscious of my surroundings and who I was, I would never go back to the fry. My husband at that time told me he used to say fry my hair, he would bust me upside the head with a water balloon.
Oh boy. So living out in California, California, I look at it as the launch pad for a lot of different fads, a lot of different business startups, a lot of different things for the rest of the world or America that might, take off or whatever. It's like, the database, the beta testing ground of many things. How is it for you there in a so-called liberal state?
Well, back in the day, we used to say the liberals are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Back in the day, we used to say the liberals just hang you from a lower tree. Right now, I think people's consciousness is being raised because of the fact that we notice all these years we've had liberal people, so-called liberal people there, and the focus has never been really on the Black community. It's always been on minorities. And right now, what's happening is most of the minorities are receiving all the services, and Black people who actually put these I guess you could say, gave these opportunities to these minorities are getting nothing, you know. So people are
Mhm.
a little edgy about that. Some people are thinking
Okay.
they're not going to vote Democrat or whatever.
Okay. All right. Well, Gloria, hey, I appreciate you calling in. I'm gonna pass the mic on over to Inika. You take care.
Okay.
Hello, go
Peace and
Black.
blessings, sister. How you doing?
Good. I finally caught you on a live.
I just started back on them. What's
Me and
good
my
with you?
husband watch you all the time. We watch you all
Oh,
the
okay.
time. My husband and I. We're actually going to be coming to the motherland in April for the first time.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
So
Okay.
we're
So what you
really
got to share
excited.
with us?
I had a situation a few years ago when I was living in Las Vegas. I'm actually living in Louisiana now, but I'm a native Californian, Bay Area. But
Okay.
anyways, I was working for the state, and I had a situation where the new administrator that they brought in was a Caucasian woman, and immediately she terminated the two Latino women that were in the office.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them had just gotten her review, a stellar review, glowing review, and yet they terminated her.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew she did not care for, you know, Black people or Latinos. And she then turned her venom on me, conjured up a bunch of lies, and terminated me. It took them a while. We hired an attorney and I fought back. I won my case, but I decided not to go back there on the advice of my attorney because they just would have made my life a living hell. So I moved on.
Yeah.
But that was my real, truly first experience of of that magnitude, and it was very extremely stressful. They actually had hired a Black lady as my supervisor. And I thought at the time, oh, this is going to be great, you know. So I called myself trying to give her all the 411 of what had, been transpiring or whatever. That was a big mistake because they brought her in with the sole intent and purposes of getting rid of me. And so her and we started clashing, and we ended up going to mediation. And in mediation, she got so frustrated and she uttered something that she shouldn't have said, um, basically confirming what I had already knew and sensed, and to the mediator, that basically they had brought her in to try to get rid of me. And eventually she saw what I have been trying to tell her. The minute she disagreed with the manager, the management, then she turned on her and basically gave her an ultimatum, told her that she wasn't going to pass her probation, because when you work in government, you know that your probation is a whole year. And so they told her she wasn't going to pass her probation, and that she could resign, or she could, they were going to terminate her. So she ended up resigning. But right before she resigned is when we started to get along, because she saw what had been talking about. And so yeah, that's what happened with that. Are you still there? You disappeared. I don't know if it's on my end or if it was on your end. Hello.
Okay.
You had
You got to bear
disappeared
with
on
me.
me.
Yeah, yeah, that Wi-Fi drops here. I'm over here in Ghana, so they have these issues. But anyway, but you had where you left off at was you said she had rattled off with the mouth confirming what you had said, which was, and then you went out.
Oh, that I knew that that's what that's why she was brought in, to get rid of me. So then it wouldn't look like it was anything, racist or anything. And so she ended up disagreeing with management, and they turned on her just as I told her that they would. And then we started to get along because then she, started to see what I have been talking about. But unfortunately, because she voiced her opinions and stuck up for herself and what her point of view, they basically gave her an ultimatum and told her she could either resign or they were going to terminate her. They weren't going to pass her probation. So she ended up resigning. And then it was full court press on, coming after me. And even a couple of my coworkers came in to the hearing and gave their testimony, which they didn't really provide any. It didn't even make any sense as to why they even came, because they really didn't provide any evidence or anything like that. It was really quite ridiculous. And they tried to say that I stole money, which I had no access to any money. So that just didn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yep.
They tried to say that I didn't get along with internal customers, meaning colleagues or whatever, which didn't make no sense at all. And then they tried to say that my customer service was bad or not good or whatever, but yet and still I had hundreds upon hundreds of comment forms because I did classes. I held classes to the community, for the community, and with the work that I was doing. And so I had made copies of all of those different comments, sheets that I had gotten of reviews from various different people. And then I had gotten letters from various people that I had worked with or whatever. And so my attorney was like, okay, so you're saying that she was so great with, the customers and this, that, and a third, but yet when she comes in the office, she's not good. Like, it didn't even make no sense. None of the stuff that they said made any sense whatsoever. Their so-called investigator, he said that I needed to prove that I was innocent.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question right here. How long after that did you remain with the company? Or
well, they had put me on suspension with pay during this whole time that they were doing the so-called extensive investigation. So I was on leave for about 3 months, I think, when they and then they sent me the letter saying that I was terminated or whatever. And then we ended up ultimately going to court, and they had to settle because their investigator put his foot in his mouth when he said that I needed to prove I was innocent. It's like, no, that's not how this works.
Did you remain with them, or did you move on? Or how long after that?
Oh, absolutely not. I could have forced them to take me back, but they would have just, made my life miserable. And so I agreed to walk away, and they paid me a settlement.
Okay. I appreciate your story. I'm gonna pass the mic on. I got people waiting, but so many of these stories like that, and I would love for people to call in just to share, because sometimes we move on in our lives and we just zip our lips and then just keep fighting and battling through what we have to deal with. So I appreciate your story, sister.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all take care.
All right.
Yeah, before I bring in the next guest here, she brought back memories that, why, man, sometimes things you go back and until you start talking about some subject matters, you figure, oh, wow. My wife went through that same identical thing. And what happened, my wife had an impeccable career with the government. And I was in the military, and I got shipped off over to go to Colorado Springs, Colorado. I was stationed at Peterson Air Force Base over at Space Command. So my wife got a job at the Civilian Personnel Office. Impeccable. She left the State Department of Washington, D.C. So, she did 9 years State Department, impeccable record, gets over here into this racist system of the Civilian Personnel Office, and they attack her. and they did everything in their power uh, to give her a bad name. They did everything in their power to make her seem like that she was a poor worker, that she was an instigator, troublemaker, that we had to take them to court. And my wife won. She won in court. But here was the kicker, y'all. She never was right after this either. This is my ex-wife. My ex-wife. She was never right after this. They blacklisted her. She never stepped foot again into the federal government. Destroyed her. Destroyed her. And, you know, I got so many stories that, you know, I tell people I don't hate white people. I know white people. There are so many, even those who remain silent, perpetuates the violence. And it is, I've come to my own conclusion from my own experiences, is that they just have this fear, they have this prejudice, this bias, they have this disdain for us. And that's why I say we don't have no place in a country that does not respect us fully as a people. Let's go ahead. Let me bring in the next guest here. Warrior. Did I say it right? You got yourself on mute. Warriors.
What's going on? Shalom, family. Yeah, I'm learning too. The mind job they done on us, the negative images they showed us. You know, I'm from Mississippi.
Shalom,
They
brother.
showed us about Africa always
How are
bad.
you? What you got for us?
I'm all right. I done made my mind up. Hey, if I had to,
Where are you from?
Tupelo. I done made my mind up. I know what it is. I'm not afraid. I'm not worried about, you know. That's how and I think certain people they can pick up on that. Cause, you know, and I'm not, you know, it just I know what it is. I understand what I mean. It don't matter what I do. I mean, you know, they can come bust up in the house and kill me at any moment. So I done made my mind up. I'm gonna go fight. But and in the meantime, you know, I try to live by the word.
You're breaking up. You're breaking up, brother.
I'm breaking up.
You're breaking up. If you can find a different location or something, you're breaking up.
All right. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna try to go upstairs or something.
Yeah, he's breaking up. The link is in the chat, family. And what we're doing today, white, black, brown, yellow, green, you can call in and share about your experience dealing with Caucasians, fear, and how they will try to destroy, like I said, if it don't apply to y'all, don't cry.
Hello? Oh, I don't know what's going on. Move to a different room. All right. I'm gonna just sit here and wait patiently on the host. That's out of respect. But yeah, just be vigilant and don't listen to them about us. You understand? Yeah. We got a bad habit of taking everybody else's opinion about our people, which isn't right. Let me see. Okay, y'all can hear me. Okay, I just don't want to be disrespectful, but yeah, I'm gonna try to stay on topic. I love my people, you know, worldwide. We are, you know, and I know we are the people of the Bible, and I don't expect everybody to believe that. But once you understand that we are the nation of Israel scattered worldwide, then it's in their interest to keep us fighting each other. See, But once we begin to work as a singular unit, as one nation under the Most High, then we can start tearing down this kingdom, that's in the Bible. Y'all read Jeremiah 51. But yeah, I hope I was trying to be respectful. I just didn't know what else to do, brother. If I did anything you don't agree with, I apologize.
I
Oh
didn't
yeah,
even get the words you said. I'm back, but I missed everything you said.
I was just
But
saying that I love my people, and according to the Bible, I know who we are. We are a singular nation, and it's in their
yeah,
interest to keep us, separated and fighting each other. And I appreciate what you do. I've learned a lot, because I can't, I don't know what's going on over there no more than what they show me. And what they show us is lies.
yeah. Well, I show enough for people to see the difference. So that's one thing. So that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Many people out here showing the truth. So,
yeah.
but
And
I
oh
appreciate you
yeah.
calling in. I appreciate you calling in, brother. I'm gonna pass the mic on over.
Okay, all right, brother. All right.
Yeah, you all. I'm struggling with my internet, but we're gonna bring in Alicia Brown. How we doing, sister?
I am great. I have a great awakening.
You have a great awakening. Yeah. Well, please share with us your experience or what you have been through, whatever.
Well, I'm 57. So, and I had older parents. Well, my parents, one born in 1925, one born in 1929. My first experience, I'll be quick too. My first experience of racism, I had never experienced anything before. I'm from Houston, Texas, in the South. But my first experience was as a girl. My mom worked, she was a dietitian. She worked, but my father was a pastor. My mom was a dietitian that worked for Bel Air General Hospital, which even as a dietitian, her first pregnancy. Um,
Come on with us, sister. You got 3 minutes to talk. Come on.
oh, her first
Yeah.
wasn't allowed to even have her baby there and lost it. So I ended up being the first Black baby born there. Um, that in itself was a tragedy. Second one was my dad wanted to buy a truck one time, and we went up to this house, and the gentleman, because we were Black, he didn't even want to sell the truck to us. The third thing was I worked at K-Tech Electronics back in the 90s before I worked for the airline, and I was through a temp agency, and I had my own office and everything. I could come in, they could be by the elevator waiting for the elevator. I could speak and say good morning. They wouldn't say anything. I did my job really well. Had my own office. They were going to go from filing to scanning. And we knew this like months ahead. And I put an order in to ask them to get a table. So when the young lady come in to scan, I wouldn't have to leave my office and she would have all the files right there. But the day she came, still no table. Even though they were going to make me permanent, hire me on a permanent basis, I said on that day that it doesn't take a mail order brain to figure out how to get a table in this room. And when I said that, immediately, and I was the only Black there, immediately I was brought into the office and I was told that they were going to have to let me go. They
Yeah.
gave me no reason why, just let me go.
Yeah.
And so, even though my work that I had to do was superb, it made the production floor be on top. Before I would even take my lunch break, I always made sure everything was ahead. I was on time every day. They didn't like the fact that, like, between when I was with my kids' dad, we had 7 kids, but I was sharp every day. I grew up wearing just skirts and dresses and heels. So I was sharp every day. I did my work. I was professional. Um, they knew we had a lot of kids, but we had a new van. They questioned me. They were upset. Like, how did you get a new van? What do your husband do? Because a lot of time they feel like if you're doing well, you must sell drugs or something. It can't be from a job or doing the right thing. They questioned that. On Valentine's Day, he brought me, I was the only one in the office, rather, that husband brought them things, brought them flowers and candy and stuff. I had all my red things on, my red dress, my red pantyhose, red shoes, and looking good. That was the day I was let go too. They didn't like that I was looking good. They didn't like that I had my mate bring me things, to the office, balloons and a balloon for each kid, because we were raising his other three too as well at the time, and our four. So it's like it was a lot of things. They they don't want to see you doing well. If you're doing better than them, they don't like that. They don't compliment you. They just try to figure out what you're doing illegal. And this is not everyone. I don't want people to think I'm saying all whites are like this, because I have white friends that I love. But it's just a lot of things. Even in, like, I'm a flight attendant now, and what I go through now is the older white flight attendants. When you work with them, first they have an attitude before they even know you. They always think they've worked with you before, but you've never seen them before. Some of them are upset because they think they've worked with you before, and now they're upset and don't like you. It's just a lot. And I can go on and on with different little things. I just, in this world, there's really enough for everybody to just live well. But because of greed and I feel like that's how all of this started. Greed and taking,
Yeah.
and now being afraid of the outcome.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your words. Appreciate your sharing your experiences and all that right there. I know so many other people out here that are like that, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, peace and blessings to you. Yeah, I mean, she hit on something too. Where, um, why is it that they get threatened when they see success, or one begins to, you know, have what they have, or if not better. I remember my dad told me, he said, if you ever work for any of them, you better be careful of what you show with them and what you have obtained or what you've acquired. Those are zip lips. You don't run off with your mouth talking about what you bought and where you live, and you don't be driving your fancy car to work or whatever it is. These are things that's like, why do we have to live like that? Why does my dad have to pass down to me this whole way of have to live differently? Why can't we live free? It's because of the fact that we live amongst people who even their ancestors have passed down the same bad behaviors what their ancestors have done, and yet there's still the same approach, the same thinking that they have done in the past. It's passed down from generation to generation. Yeah, you can't trust them. You better watch them. They got too much mouth. Watch out for the strong ones. Watch out the ones with the deep voice, the ones who show like they're really men. Watch out for those sisters out there who are confident. Watch out for those who know who they are. They were right there. They're the ones right there after your jobs. They're the ones who's going to take your positions. They're the ones. So then they live in all this fear. This is why they try to get rid of slavery in the books, because they talk about, we are tired of our children living like we had to live. Well, y'all just changed the narrative. And the easy way to change the narrative is by retribution, reparations. Not apology with a mouth, because nobody has to say anything after, once you when you restitute or you bring somebody back to their rightful place, from where you oppressed them to be. But what they rather do is continue to pass this lie on to their children. Let me say this right here. When slavery was here, we would revolt. There would be rising ups. There would be overtaking of plantations. But there has never been any blacks in America that I know of has ever rose up to go burn down white people's cities, tear down their neighborhoods, kidnap their children and burn them to the stake, put nooses. We have never done such an act. Not even here in Africa. Africa welcomes everybody. They welcome the Chinese, Lebanese. They wide open. They let them come start businesses and all right there. And yet these people still look down on the African. Still have disrespect. Y'all seen the videos that I've done. Still look at these people, like look at the Africans, look at us like we're savages. We don't know what they know. We didn't go to their colleges. But you cannot find anywhere in history. That's why I don't understand why white people talk about they're afraid. Afraid of what? We're going to show you how to run government right. Not what the white gentleman said that, I call him a gentleman. I don't even use that word. What the white guy says, that maybe he's whistleblower or whatever, he's letting people know. But even from him saying, I'm gonna play the video here right in a second again, but that they passed this on down, afraid because they were told we can't let them be in the government because they're gonna do to us what we did to them, which is the witness to the fact that the evilness that you did to a people. It is a curse. It's definitely a curse. So let me play this video one more time. Let me put it in his rightful place first. Because even him coming out, sharing how he was raised and the things that are said behind the scenes is education for us to understand what we're up against. And so let me play this right here. You got to know who you're dealing with. That's why I tell people, I'm not prejudiced and I don't hate white people. I just know how they are. So I know what goes on in their mind. I know the fear they have. I know the apprehensiveness they have. I know they look down on me. I know they think they're smarter. I know they think they can do things better. I know that. And yet I can sit and have a conversation right along with them. I don't need to hate them. I ain't gonna do no harm to you. Matter of fact, I won't degrade you. I won't even disrespect you. But I know how you are. And let me say this to the black people. Stop saying you got white friends. Because majority of you all know y'all never been over to their houses. I watched what's his name, Grimes, whatever, and he talked to the white people and some of the black people in the grocery stores. And he asked them, do you have black friends? And some of them say, oh yeah, I work with such and such. See, that ain't no friend. That's a co-worker. How many black friends you got? Oh, I got about 4 or 5 of them. But when you get down to it, who are they? You need to ask them, have they been to your house? Have you been to their house? They been to your house? Do you get to go to the private parties? You see, when I worked in the white neighborhoods, right, and I had my business in white neighborhoods, and I had neighbors as white people and stuff like that, and it was only 2 of us in our whole entire neighborhood, a very elite neighborhood. But you know what? I didn't get invites. I seen when the neighbors had parties and stuff like that and had other peoples down the street come over and stuff like that. I wasn't invited. I coached their kids in school, and I was head coach in sports and all that stuff right there. Coached at the high school and right there. Oh, I heard when they got together, the team, some of the players got together at some other parents' house, and they had the other parent. Me and my other coaches didn't get invited. See, these people talk about, well, they're cool. Well, let's look. The scripturally, the Lord says He will even allow your enemies to be kind to you. And what's the enemy mean? Anyone who thinks that they are better than you, anyone who can sit back and watch devastation happen to you and do nothing, say nothing. And yet we run around talking about, I got white friends. I say I got white associates. I just left when I was in America. I went by to visit one of my old supervisors. He's a white guy. He's a white guy. Praise be the Lord. The guy's been friendly to me. Matter of fact, he actually saved my military career. The Lord put it on him to do it. But I'm saying he was used by the Lord, but a kind guy, him and his wife, invites me over because he knows I also looked out for him too in our careers. But that was when I was a young buck. So I'm not saying I have to hate anybody. I don't have to say that I disdain any white person, not whatsoever, because I know people email me and say, well, my mom is white, my dad is white. If it don't apply, don't cry. I'm talking about my experience of majority interactions with white people. And if my interactions majority with white people are not good, well, America does polls. They do the statistical datas. And when you can see based upon the statistical data of how many people have been kind, well, you know what? Then you can measure it and say the nation is racist. So, family, I appreciate each and every one of you all coming in. I've seen many people out here was chatting and all that right there, but I'm gonna run this video one more time, and we're going to start here. Let me go here.
Good can ever come out of a Black person at a very young age. There are more of other.
As a English-speaking white boy, I only became politically conscious when I was already 18 years of age, because prior to that, I had been subjected to and sucked in this incredible propaganda of victimization of the white people, where every piece of news, every message we were getting, every joke, the butt of every joke was the stupidity of the black man, the inability of the black man to look after himself, never mind the country, to be ignorant, uneducated, break everything he touched. The messaging was that all violence was black violence, that all crime was black crime, that you had to fear black people. And a huge amount of that fear was that if we let them into the political process, into the governance of the country, that they would do to us exactly what we had done to them for decades, which would be to turn around and oppress us, to murder us, to take our stuff, to move into our houses. It was a very popular story that the ANC, prior to the 94 election, when it was still an illegal organization and Nelson Mandela was still in jail, and the armed wing was exiled to Zambia and Mozambique, Umkhonto Wesizwe, was that they promised all of our domestic servants that those servants would be given the house they worked in when the ANC ruled. And these stories were told amongst the whites to bolster our resolve never to let these black people run our country. And it was only when I became conscious of that from 18 onwards that I realized not only was this a terrible lie that was actually oppressing us as well as the people that we as a white nation, white minority, were oppressing, but that actually what happened subsequently from 1994 onwards was far more of a reflection of the nature of black South Africans than any fears we as white South Africans had been fed and believed, right? And I see direct parallels with what's happening in Palestine and Israel.
Okay, so he goes on about Palestine, Israel. He's doing a parallel, to what he, in his experience of what how they are as a people. They'll take jokes behind your back amongst themselves. They look at you and like, like we are just, savages. We break everything. We can't be trusted. This is all from his mouth. Let me bring in this my last guest of the night. But peace and blessings, Andre. But this is what the man was saying. So what's your thoughts, Andre? What you got to share?
Go back. Just give me 1 minute. Something is wrong here.
So, I hope that you all can rewind this and play this for your children so they know what they're up against. Play this for people so they see.
Go back.
This is not just this
Go
is
back.
just hold 1 second. This is just not a South African white people thing, because they're cousins with the Caucasians of America, Europe, and Canada, Australia. This is a people. And this problem that they have, fearing us, they continue to push and propagate that, like he said, from generation to generation to generation. All right, Andre, yeah, you got your stuff together, brother?
Hey, what's up?
What's good, good? What you got to add tonight?
No, my question to you is, so, I'm not American. I live in America right now, but ever since I came here, I noticed that the country is actually where apartheid has been invented.
Say that again, that the apartheid what?
Apartheid actually has been invented in America.
It's been invented.
Yeah, have been created in America.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when you say America, let's put
Yeah.
we got to get away from these words, America. Let's put the face on it. It was invented by who?
by the Caucasians.
Okay, all right. Let's just keep it real. When you say
Yeah.
America, then people gonna get twisted, because this is what many of our Caucasian people do. They don't say that, oh, white people jacked up the economy of America and jacked up. They say liberals, conservatives, they say Democrats, Republicans. But in actuality, let's put the face on it. Okay, so go ahead, brother.
So I am from Africa actually, from Angola. I've seen you visiting Angola actually.
Yeah,
So I was glad to see. Oh, Go Black is in my homeland.
yeah, yeah.
So
How long you been in America?
I've been here since like 20 years.
Oh hell.
20
And
years.
so you see that there is this racist apartheid type of thing that goes on in America.
Yeah, it's like when I grew up in Angola in the 80s, we used to have like fighting apartheid. Apartheid government came into Angola, grabbed one of our provinces and start running it, trying to reach to the main city of Luanda. So we were like, wow. So we were told you can visit any African nation except South Africa. So we had a passport where it was written, you can visit any country on earth except South Africa. So we were like, wow, we were kids. I was like a kid in the 80s. Then but we did not know the extent of what racism is really, because we did not have the apartheid system in Angola at the time. But it's very hard to see racism when you live in Africa, because except South Africa at the time. So when I came to the US, that's when I realized, no, this thing called racism is actually very deep. It sits very deeply in the heart of white people. Even if you, so I understand why police officers here actually shoot easily to black people. What happened is that, as you said, they have information passed on them through generations.
Yeah.
So then every time they see a black skin, they see danger, and so it looks like we belong to a different planet, and they belong also to a different planet. It feels like this.
No,
And
we belong to Earth, and I tell you, many of them belong to a different planet.
No, that's the feeling you have when you live in America. Because as you said,
Yeah.
you go to a restaurant now, they don't have any black person sitting there, but they show up. Now they're on alert. You can feel and sense that, you know, they see you, they see somebody from a different planet or something. So that's very disturbing in our mind. It's like, no. The only problem I have is that how can we change them? How on earth are we going to change the Caucasians to become different? What is your opinion on that?
I appreciate you. I'm going to let you go on that question. I'm going to answer your question, okay?
Yeah,
Because
sounds good.
well, peace and blessing to you, Andre. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I like your trips. I like you in the motherland, and keep on doing the work. And thank you. Bye bye.
When's the last time you've been in Angola?
Last time I was there was like actually 10 years ago.
Wow, you haven't been back in Angola since 10 years ago?
Yeah, 10 years ago. But I've been. I was happy to see my dad. Actually, I did fly to Portugal in 2019.
Your dad lives there?
Huh?
Your dad lives in Portugal?
No. It was there just for a few, I guess, a few months. Then they returned back to Angola.
Why
But
didn't you go?
I was happy, man, to see you in Angola. I could not believe.
Well, I'm gonna be happier when you take your tail back to Angola.
No, I will be there like January something because I just have to go there. It's yeah.
You gotta go, man. It's a beautiful country, beautiful country, beautiful people. All right, brother. I'll talk to you later.
All right, we talk again soon.
I'm gonna answer your question. Okay.
All right.
One of our biggest problems as people is we always tend to think we can change the white people. We always think maybe they'll come around. If we protest long enough, maybe they will come around. If we do better by ourselves, maybe they'll come around. If we, all of these things that we think, what can we do to change a people? You can't change a people. You see, we have to understand, we don't fight against flesh and blood, but we fight against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness. You know, we fight against everything that is on this against this demonic spirit. We fight against, these spirits, wicked spirits in high places. This is what scripture says. We're not fighting, we don't need to try to bend over backwards and appease them to get them to change. Let them be. When you accept somebody for who they are, you know now how to navigate with them. You know how to deal with them. But we continue to try to press in. We continue to try to integrate. We continue, and time again, the protests, the going, trying to establish laws and rights and policies and procedures. It don't ever change. You just got to know who you're dealing with. You're dealing with a people who can only, in their own spiritual mindset, believe they are the greatest thing since the creation. And that hate and fear also stems because scientists and archaeologists have proven the black man is the first on the earth. They have proven that the smartest comes out of Africa, but the dumbest also too. I like what's his name had broke all that down to show that out of Africa springs forth everything. You can't say you are chosen unless you go to the original, those who were the original. You can't say you a Jew unless you start with going back to who were the original. You can't say scripture is from the white man just because they got it and they took it, they flipped it and changed up some of this, the terminologies, names, Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John, and you thinking, instead of realizing their history. When you understand how people's acts, how their history is and how they behave today, it makes it clearer who you're dealing with. When you deal with those who will go in and burn up people's history, and take from those things that they can salvage and use for their own, it makes all the sense in the world. When you hear this white guy like what we just showed, and he says, we pass this on to our children, these fears of the black man. We sit around in circles and talk about how ignorant black people are and they're incapable, and we tell jokes, and but they have this fear that we're going to turn around and do the same thing that they did to us. This is when if you know a snake bites. Look, let me give you a joke and I'm out of here. There was a man who climbed a mountain. He climbed the mountain up to the point where, got up there, he enjoyed the view. View was beautiful. On his way, coming back, he came to a snake. The snake had found himself that he got too high up and he got sick. And so the snake said to the man, "Could you please help me? I'm weak. I'm dying. I just need for you to take me back down to the bottom of the mountain." And the man said, "I can't do that. You're a snake. You're going to bite me." And the snake said, "I will not bite you. I give you my word. I promise you I will not bite you." The man said, "No, I cannot do it. You are a snake. This is how you are. This is what is in you. You are a snake. You will bite me." And the snake went on and said, "You have to believe me. I will owe you my life. I will never bite you. I will just ask of you, you just please, I promise you, I will not bite you." He convinced that man that he would not bite him. So the man picked up the snake and they had conversations going down that mountain. And as soon as he got down the mountain, the snake thanked him and everything. He got revived. He was down at the elevation he needed to be at and everything. And all of a sudden, shawap, he bit the guy. And the guy said, "You promised me. You promised me that you would not bite me." That snake looked at him and said, "You knew I was a snake. It's in me to bite you." And took off. You see, when you know by history who has gone around the globe, colonized and enslaved people, the Europeans have. Who has gone from India to Asia to Africa to South America to Mexico to North Americas, who have gone to Australia, who have colonized and have enslaved and murdered and white people and Arabs. We're going to say with the white people. This is their history. Who have hung people on the noose and by the trees, men, women, and children. Who have tossed them in waters, we call them baby baits, to gather to get the alligators to come so they can get the alligator to get their skin to make shoes and purses and stuff back then. Europeans. Who have taken black people and burnt them to the stake, to the crisp, and there are still videos and pictures out there of them doing such horrific things. What type of person could do such horrific things? What person can go ahead and take their own kind, put them in gas chambers, cut off arms, whose name is Hitler? They went and did their own people that same way. White people who have gone around and taken people and not only have taken them in slavery, but turn around and eaten them. White people. You see, who have discriminated against, who have set towns on fire in America, taken over advantage of, colonized a continent of Africa, divided it up, put chains on people's necks, mutilate the hands, King Leopold, and feet, who have raped, robbed, and pillaged a nation of people and called the children mulattoes. White people. You see, even scripture says it's just in these so-called Edomites that your church don't preach about. Who are these people? Who are the Amalekites, the Edomites? Who was the Jebusites? Who were the Hittites? Who were these people? These people didn't disappear. It's like the Ku Klux Klan. Those people who are back then hanging and burning people, these people still live together today. But they want to talk about, the last surviving Holocaust survivor. There are many people who are that have done such horrific things who's still living today. Who are your judges, your teachers, and your bosses? With a smile. When we heard just people who come in and called in about sharing their horrific past. It's just in them. And there's no convincing me that it's not. But I will never do any horrific thing that they have done to us. Now, I will fight and go to war, but to blatantly go out, to enslave, to burn, to hang from a tree, to rape, to rob, pillage, stealing countries and land, putting people on reservations, ripping people apart by putting horses on both ends of a person, to create a people on a plantation to be docile, to take a man to make him sleep with his own mother, to degrade him, to have a man lay with another man to take away his masculinity. These are the stories that horrific Europeans have done. They haven't gone nowhere. They're still here. And you know what? I know how to deal with them. Why? History and currently what goes on. When you just see the videos that I put up, just go to the library. There's white people who the Almighty is having them whistleblow against their own kind. That's scripture. When you have people to tell you who they are. No, not all white people. There's some nice people, this and that. You're giving credit to a people instead of credit to the Most High, of putting people to give you the respect while they're in your presence, and you rather give the credit to them. Family, please go back and watch the video. Please share the video. This is your man, not your boy. Bringing you another gold nugget that you can either pick up or you can just kick it aside. I'm out.